We've learned that we can design the workplace and entrepreneurship landscape for more active sponsorship. But what about the fact that sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time? What about the things that just happen? John Krumboltz has a theory called planned happenstance, or knowing how to make the most out of unexpected events in your life. The theory goes that even if you don't know exactly where your actions will lead, just by being active and doing the right kinds of things, great things can and will happen. In this session, we asked our fellows to share one serendipitous encounter that was decisive in their entrepreneurial journey. First up, we have Natalie Chan, who pushes young people to explore and experiment with the entire range of career opportunities available to them. Natalie is the founder and CEO of Own Academy, Hong Kong, China.
Growing up, one thing was ingrained in me: the importance of education. I was told that if you work hard at school, you'll be all set for life. In 2009, I graduated during the financial crisis, and I was one of the lucky ones that got a consulting job in corporate America. I still remember the first day at work. I was excited and ready for what's next. To my surprise, all the subjects that I learned and all the exams that I studied for didn't give me the skills and knowledge I needed to thrive in work and life. I started asking the question, what is the purpose of school? Instead of solving big corporate problems, I want to solve the education problem. My goal is to make learning more authentic and more real-world focused. I had a vision, but frankly, I have no idea how to get there. So one day, I met someone who owns a school and got hired as a teacher. When I realized that my impact as a teacher is limited, I want to reach millions of students through media. I asked for a coffee with a director and got hired as a producer. In 2016, I was ready to start my company, but I knew I needed something different. So I walked into the only education media company, uninvited, pitched to the director, and got myself kickstarted. I knew I needed some guidance, so I gate-crashed an invite-only educator's lunch and found myself an advisor. I needed customers, but I have no money for advertisement. So I went to an education fair knowing that the parents would be there and rode the elevator giving out flyers for me to find my first batch of customers. In the past 5 years, I've lost count of the number of serendipitous moments that have happened to me. Yet all my experiences have taught me that if you can dream it, you can make it happen. No one is going to hand you a silver platter. You have to be the one that create the opportunities for yourself. And trust me, there are abundance of opportunities out there. The only difference is whether you can see them and seize them.
Clearly, Natalie is a yes woman, seizing any opportunity that presents itself. Now, we have Rafaela Cavalcanti, the CEO and founder of CloQ, Brazil, which promotes financial inclusion by helping people from low-income communities build a credit history.
There aren't a lot of women in finances. As someone who is passionate about financial inclusion, this is something I've always been aware of. Back in 2019, I was at an event in Santiago, Chile, with other fintech founders. At the end of the event, there was going to be one-on-one mentoring sessions. I looked into the list of mentors, and there was only one woman, Susana Robles. Susana happened to be the CIO and architect of the investment program at the Inter-American Development Bank. I really wanted to meet her. I went to the event organizer and I asked her to be matched with Susana. And to my surprise, she also asked to be matched with me. I explained to Susana about CloQ, how we were simplifying financial inclusion to the low-income and unbanked, and how it was difficult for me to develop a fintech product. You know, think about it. I was an outsider, a nobody in the environment, and I had no network to speak of. Susana didn't think twice. She said she knew many investors, organizations, and that I should attend an event that was going to happen in Paraguay. 1 month later, thanks to the support of an angel investment network that I was introduced by Susana, I was flying to Paraguay to this Women in STEM event. I met many investors that could be useful for later rounds and a lot of possible partnerships that could be done once we decide to scale outside of Brazil. I was so thrilled, so excited with all the support from those women that when I came back to my city in Brazil, I opened a Women in STEM group to perpetuate the power of a supporting network. You know, looking back, none of this would have happened if I didn't have 20 minutes with Susana. I have learned 3 main things from this. Never be afraid to ask. Never be ashamed to share. And never underestimate the power of a supporting network.
We actually just heard from Susana on the sponsorship panel. So we can see how crucial it is, in her view, to support and open doors for women. Our next speaker is Rana Sakhawy, the founder and managing director of MonkiBox UAE. MonkiBox develops science-based toys for children, and Rana is going to tell us what led her to it.
One morning, 4 years ago, I sat down on the floor of my daughter's play area and watched her pull up to this plastic activity table, the kind with all the features and lights. She pushed a button and all of a sudden music started playing and lights started flashing. She pushed another and this animal figure popped out and more lights started flashing and more music started playing. She quickly moved on to something else, completely unimpressed. And I sat there feeling disconnected. And it was at that moment that I questioned, what is this experience doing for her and us? I looked around at the rest of the toys in the area. What were any of them teaching her or doing for her cognitive development? I became curious as I searched for answers. I had limited knowledge of cognitive sciences, but I discovered studies that explained the extreme importance of the first 3 years of life and how to help my child develop. This changed everything for me as a parent and set me off on an unexpected entrepreneurial journey working on MonkiBox. MonkiBox provides play essentials and activities that are grounded in the science of early childhood development and delivered by Stage. My mission is to bring this knowledge, confidence, and connection that I felt with my daughter to parents all over in a simple and convenient way. I learned that to engineer serendipity and find your aha moment, we need to follow our curiosity and give ourselves the mental space to observe the various thoughts and ideas that we become curious about and allow them to develop. The brain is dedicated to pattern recognition, so the more concepts and experiences you give it, the more of them it will connect. The great scientist Louis Pasteur said, "Chance favors only the prepared mind." So be curious and seize every opportunity.
Thanks for sharing that story, Rana. Serendipity can mean simply tuning into your daily environment and the message you are getting from it. Next up, we have founder and CEO of Geek Express, an edtech platform that promotes STEAM learning. Please welcome Manal Hakim from Lebanon.
In 2016, I knew I wanted my kids to understand technology and I wanted it to be fun. Back then, I was running Geek Express as an art gallery and a creative space in the art district of downtown Beirut. One day, I received an email from a young man praising a STEM toy we had recently acquired, explaining how passionate he was about this type of learning. A month later, we launched the STEM toy. It was well received, but not without its shares of challenges. Onboarding parents was difficult, sales were low, and I realized that many felt a sense of exclusion and reluctance when it came to technology. I remembered that young man with a passion for STEM, and I got in touch. We agreed to hold weekly workshops at the gallery, tech workshops. A year later, this mystery man became my business partner. Together, we transformed the gallery into an edutech hub that offers more than 30 courses in coding, engineering, and design, both offline and online. My serendipitous moment was meeting my business partner. We shared the belief that technology needed to be demystified, explained, made accessible to all. Serendipity, I believe, is recognizing this potential for passion and making small bets. I had an itch in a world that's increasingly reliant on technology. I simply wanted my kids to understand the language, to be included in the movement. I never thought in my wildest dreams that I would launch a startup, receive funding, and embark on an exciting journey of entrepreneurship. Serendipity is when you know in your heart, in your gut, that something is right. You just have to trust that and go with the magic. I had an itch, and I chose to follow my itch. Serendipity is out there. It just favors a prepared mind.
Manal talks about making small bets, which echoes Nassim Nicholas Taleb's thesis about anti-fragility and exposing yourself to small risks regularly. Now, let's hear from Sabina Bharwani, the founder and CEO of Hello World USA, a company providing K-12 computer science programs. She's going to tell us when everything clicked for her.
It was the summer of 2019, and I was having coffee with a gentleman who works at a large, dominant education technology company. At some point in the conversation, he referenced one of my recent LinkedIn posts where I had listed out a few of the troubling statistics that demonstrate inequities in tech. One of the things I had shared, for example, is how in 2018, less than 6% of computer science college graduates were Black or Latinx. His response to this was, well, you know, some of these groups you're talking about, they actually do have access to opportunities in tech. The real issue is they're just not interested in those fields, or maybe they find them to be too challenging. I heard this and felt immediately enraged. How could someone truly believe this? This man was telling me that an entire race or group of people either didn't have what it took to pursue computer science field, or they weren't interested in some of the most influential and lucrative careers in the world. I pushed back, and it was clear he was embarrassed about what he had said, but I don't think he changed his views. A bit about me. I'm the founder of Hello World, a K-12 computer science education company that is committed to serving students from underrepresented backgrounds in tech. At the time of that meeting, Hello World was not in a position to scale. We were running many of our own programs, which involve a lot of staffing and operating costs. It was this meeting that pushed me to think bigger. I realized that there are still people out there that either don't see or don't care to see the systemic injustices in our education system, and I had to do something. So that's when we decided that we would build a scalable learning management software and grow the impact of our business. Although this meeting wasn't a positive serendipitous encounter, it did fuel a major shift in our business, and I'm grateful for that. My larger reflection here is to stay open to all kinds of dialogue, even conversations that may make you feel upset or uncomfortable, because they could deepen your conviction and potentially lead you in a new direction.
Wow, talk about successfully channeling anger. Now, please welcome the co-founder and director of The Better Packaging, a sustainable and compostable packaging company based out of New Zealand and run by its co-founder and director, Rebecca Percasky.
Why would a self-confessed hater of packaging start a packaging company? For me, there wasn't any one light bulb moment, but rather a series of serendipitous events that took me on the journey to find the business that was always within inside here. It started early, as from the ages of 2 until 6, my parents, 3 siblings, and I travelled the world in a motorhome, making and selling jewellery. We had no extra stuff. Everything we had was well loved and much used. There was just nowhere to put it. I feel very privileged that I got to live that way, as it lay a foundation for a waste-free life that was to come. I do love nice things, however, so it was really easy to fall into the trap of collecting stuff, but I could never shake the knowledge that there was a huge amount of waste associated with the way I was living. After our children were born, we moved to Waiheke, an island off Auckland. It's slightly off-grid. We collect our rainwater, composting's a given, and there's a thriving second-hand culture. It's also importantly where I met my business partner Kate, another waste inventor who had a huge impact on me. But it wasn't until my 7-year-old daughter did her project on how to save the planet. She chose such simple things as switching off light switches and walking to school. And it just got me right here. He was this little person that I loved more than anything, and she had this deep, heavy issue on her shoulders. I knew I had to act, so that night I sat up and I wrote a list of 5 things I could do to make change. 4 of them were in the packaging space, and 1 was to make a sustainable courier satchel. 4 years on, and we have diverted over 35 million single-use plastic bags from landfill by offering a better packaging alternative. I think of the experiences in life as layers that make up the unique you, laying a foundation for the future that is to come. Lean into them and you might just find a thriving business in there.
I guess sometimes it's as much a question of embracing your destiny as it is about being open to serendipity. We'll now hear a slightly different perspective from Edwina Sharrock from Australia. She's the founder and CEO of BirthBeat, a platform to educate parents on childbirth and childcare.
On the 15th of July 2017, my family and I received a devastating phone call. The phone call was to say our dear friend Justine had been killed by a police officer. Justine had phoned 911 and called the police to her home after hearing cries of distress of a woman in the back alley. The call was to say, Justine is gone. Justine has been killed. Now you may be thinking, I thought this was meant to be a talk on serendipitous encounters. How could this possibly be considered a serendipitous encounter? A tragic, unthinkable thing happening to somebody in the prime of their life and affecting a close family and a close circle of friends. But since this phone call, every morning when I wake and I place my feet on the floor and I say thank you, thank you, thank you, I am thankful that I get to continue to walk this land and continue to make an impact. It is this extreme gratitude that I feel that I am still here and alive that made Justine's passing a serendipitous encounter for me. Now, we all know the crazy ride of being a female entrepreneur, the extreme highs. For me personally, the first big corporate contract, the investor who believes in you and believes in your mission, but also the lows and the sacrifices. Again, personally, it's the missed school concerts, kisses goodnight, and bedtimes. At BirthBeat, our mission is to improve the mental and physical well-being of expecting parents globally. This is no small feat. However, I know that I and every other woman in the Cartier Women's Initiative program with me is able to make a significant impact in this world. My serendipitous encounter is that I get to be here today. I am walking this land and I continue to strive to make an impact.